Okay. All right. Well, we are back here. Let me know if the audio is good. We're actually using a different computer now, and it looks like it's working, but there is a lot of noise in the radio room here. So I'm using some special software to hopefully remove that successfully. So let me know if you're hearing noise or if you're just hearing me and I sound okay. I'm hoping that's the case. We're using our new streaming laptop. And it should fare better than my MacBook from before, which really it was never really designed for streaming purposes in that sense. This one has a dedicated GPU where it should hopefully be able to handle the stream a lot better. I'm hearing audio is great. Okay, awesome. So a couple things so far about where we are in observing right now. So tonight, the goal is to observe the moon and Mars. The skies look like they are cooperating at the moment. I'm hoping they continue to do so as the evening goes on. One issue I'm having right now is that for whatever reason, the camera does not want to communicate with this laptop, even though it has before when we tested it. So I'm going to keep working on that so we can actually get to see the moon, which we're on right now with our 6-inch refractor telescope. However, I wanted to get the stream going so at least you know I'm here and I'm working on things in the back end. The door opened by itself again, huh? I'll have to figure out a way to get that to stay closed. I'm actually in our ham radio room right now. I have a space heater right next to me. This is one of the warmer parts of the dome because there's computers in here heating it naturally already. But the space heater should keep me warm and less sniffly compared to past streams where I had to be a bit colder. So bear with me while I get that camera functioning. I'm going to switch over to the observing view. So once we get it in, hopefully it'll pop right up. And again, you'll see I have my webcam here. So you'll see me. You'll see stellarium.org, where you can go and download the free planetarium software that you can run at home on Windows, Mac OS, or I think it's even on Linux. There's also a web-based version that you can run on mobile or Chromebooks. And I think you can even download an app for most devices out there. So lots of ways to explore the sky there. It's just running through a loop right now, going from night to day. But I'll also be able to use it to pinpoint what we're looking at. So, I mean, I guess right now I can point it to the moon, so why don't I do that quick? I'm going to go back to live sky. I'm going to hit play, go back to live sky. And this is what we'll be observing here. Again, if you want to control where it goes, you select an object and you hit the space bar to center it in on it, and then you can zoom in. I'm going to turn off the constellation artwork so we're not looking through it. And that's the orientation of the moon tonight. Nice full moon. Actually, the full moon is at 3 a.m. specifically, but it's effectively full right now. I'll try and pay more attention to the chat as soon as I get the actual moon. But for now, I'm going to go back out and see if I can get it connected. The alternative will be switching over to the camera, the ZWO camera, the ZWO, which will be a more cropped, zoomed-in view, but we'll be able to take a close look at the craters and the mare versus the wide field view that I'm using with the camera right now. So again, please bear with me on the camera end of things. I will be right back. I'll probably be floating in and out, and then I will be able to get to your questions as they come in. But I'm glad to see, at the very least, now that we have a dedicated streaming laptop, this will be the system that we use for all of our astronomy streams, all of our observing streams from now on. I won't have to float between different devices and whatnot, which should mean that any troubleshooting that happens now gets fixed, and in the future we won't run into the problem again. Now, of course, we are dealing with computers, so who knows, but let me work on getting it started, and I will return to speak with you in a bit. I might still be here while I'm troubleshooting, but I'm just going to be paying attention to trying to get the camera software working. For some reason, it just doesn't want to recognize the camera. And I had this problem with our other PC. And it seemed like it was a driver issue. And I had to reinstall everything. So I really hope that's not the case, because then that means I will definitely have to switch over to another device. Because if I have to install new stuff, it means I'll have to restart. And I don't want to do that. So we might have to just end up switching to the other camera, which is fine because that means we can stay on one camera for both the moon and Mars. Just realized my laptop wasn't charging. It wasn't plugged in all the way. Glad I caught that because the battery would have died, most likely. It recognizes that there's something plugged in. Probably another USB port. I guess that's a possibility that USB port is the problem. I hope not, but it could be. Nope, still can't find it. I suppose it could be. That would make sense. I want to bring the camera back in here for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see if it's an issue of the cable. Fun. Maybe to watch people troubleshoot. I don't know. Probably not. But the reward is worth it. See, it just gives me a perpetual. This is what happened on the computer before. Just tells me it's perpetually connecting. Turn it off and back on. Hmm. Alright. Well, we are going to try something here. Uh, okay, well, I'm going to give up on this camera because I don't think we're going to get anywhere with it without having to restart the computer. And I just don't want to do that because I don't know if we'll be able to get the same stream back. I think I've worked that out at this point, but I just don't want to risk it tonight. So we will try the ZWO camera. And unfortunately, that will yield a fully zoomed in view on the moon, but we can do some crater exploring. And then we can switch right on over to Mars. Where is this guy? I believe that inside the computer that. Oh, I hope it's clear in your skies where you are. It's decently clear here. There's some clouds, but they're thin and they're wispy. Not too much of a problem right now. There, and let me go switch out the ZWO camera with the ZWO camera. Be right back. Okay, let's see if that camera will work for us. First, I just want to get an image, and then, or at least know that it's linked up, and then we'll go from there. Aha! Oh, okay. Whew. At least one thing's working. Eureka, as they say. All right. How do I want to do this? I think I'll temporarily bring. That's not gonna. Trying to figure out how I want to go about focusing and centering it. Because the nice thing about the other camera is that I have a viewfinder right there, so I can adjust all the levels that I need to. This one doesn't have that. This one's the pure remote uh, on the desktop. So maybe I should untether temporarily. Well, let me get it up on the screen here for you. Okay. All right. So what you're let me transition it here. What you are seeing now is video from the camera, but it is not the moon yet. You're seeing some moon glow for sure, and you're seeing some specks on the lenses of either the telescope or the maybe possibly the sensor, but hopefully not. So let's see. I don't know if I have a choice. I might have to bring this in with me. So why don't I do that temporarily? Let me unplug this to start. Back. We're going to go take a trip into the. I should have enough battery. Let me double check that. Yeah, I should have enough battery to get there quickly and back. So we're going to take a trip into the 6-inch dome. We're going to be all tethered up here. Follow me this way. Into the cold. A little tour of the observatory, right? We will go up into the dome here. And we'll see what we can do about adjusting the field of view. Get the remote. This is where automizing completely automizing our telescopes will be really useful. So hopefully someday in the future, where we can adjust focus and direction it's looking at all from a distance. We might be able to get that working on the 14-inch actually easier than not, because it has a Wi-Fi adapter. Sure, this is a really interesting perspective on my face, me so focused on getting it in focus. But bear with me just a sec. Maybe something's coming clear. Yeah. But it needs more. Needs more. See how the battery's doing. Just make sure it's not draining like crazy. Okay. Bring the brightness down on the screen to conserve power. So we are going to put this in a diagonal because it seems like it needs more focal focal distance to actually get in focus, which I think I recall with as well. That was probably we're having before. It's been so long since our last observing stream. Hold, and we'll bump the brightness up again. Ah, there we go. Jeez, look at those specks on the lens coming from. I don't know. Okay, we are focused. Oh, too much exposure there. Let's hang out on. Is that Proclus? I think. F1 TriStar crater. We'll just hang out there for now, and I will return to the other room. Plug back in, and I can jump back out here to adjust the view when we feel like moving on. In the summertime, I'll be able to stream again, or once it warms up, I'll be able to stream again from inside the dome. It's just a little bit too caught. Our cord is caught. It's just a little bit too cold to hang out in the dome and continue to talk. Your mouth starts to freeze. All right. Let's plug back in, and also I want to make sure the stream is still going now. Camera's working. Plug back in, stream is still going. I'll adjust my view here and close the door. We'll chill out with the moon for a bit. Put some leaves on the door so it stays open. Stays closed. Well, it stays open. We don't want that. Okay. Let me open up the chat. Get my second screen back on. We also added a secondary screen to this setup too, so it's a little bit easier to manage everything. Took us some time, but we got there. All right. Now I can check out the chat here and talk to you guys a bit. And we'll move off to another quadrant of the moon in a little while. Oh, we still have 25 viewers. Well, that's good. I'm glad my troubleshooting didn't scare too many of you away. Okay. Let's check to see where we are here. Linda says astronomy is hard work. Stick-to-itiveness is necessary. I agree with that. It does. It's not perfect. At least this kind of live streaming astronomy. Certainly, uh, research-based astronomy has many of its challenges. But in this case, it's just computers being computers sometimes. And I really just got to work out a good system with this new one and make sure all the drivers work. I think maybe it was just a matter of things being installed at different times, and also me using that camera on other computers. Like I used it for my after-school programs here at Copernic, and I used it as a secondary camera. And because I used it on that PC, maybe something got confused by using it on this. And I think that's also why it wasn't working on my MacBook either. So I don't know if it shouldn't be that way. It should be able to work on any camera, or any computer. But we'll see if that's the case. So Nicholas is asking, what kind of camera is my personal one? And I can show it to you here, even though it misbehaved tonight, and I'm kind of mad at it. I have to open up my backpack. So this is the camera that I use for deep sky stuff, for wide field astrophotography. So stuff like the moon, getting a full view of the moon, getting a full view of star clusters. This is a Sony a7 III mirrorless camera, similar to a DSLR, but it's effectively that without a mirror inside it. So in that sense, they can, I guess, get a little bit more compact, and you're getting less focal distance on the lens from the sensor. But otherwise, it works very similar to a DSLR works. It does not have. It has a viewfinder, but it doesn't have a. Can you even see this? It has a viewfinder, but it doesn't have like a physical optical viewfinder. It has a really high resolution screen inside there that works well enough. I mean, obviously, there's no getting around optical being better, but if you want to remove that mirror, there's really not a good way to get a viewfinder in there that shows you exactly what the camera is going to take a picture of. So it's really good. It's really I've enjoyed what it's been able to do so far. Of course, it has its flaws with the software, it would seem, but when it works, it's nice, and hopefully we'll get that working again in the future. It might just take some reinstalling of drivers and everything to get that functioning. Now, the camera I'm using now is the ZWO, and you know what? I don't know if if the ZWO stands for something in particular. I can look quick. ZWO. It might just be the brand. I don't know if it stands. Yeah, I don't see any indication on their website. I think it is just the company brand name. I would think it would mean something, though. Zwo. I should know, but I don't. About us? Let's see. I never hear them spell out like it's an acronym. If any of the KS are in the chat and they know, or if just in general, if someone knows in the chat, feel free to share. I don't. Oh, ZW. David Carr is saying ZW Optical. So what does the ZW stand for? I don't know. But yes, they are very powerful astrophotography cameras. Looks like we're getting some cloud cover, so I'm going to bump up the exposure a bit just to get a little bit more detail out of everything. Bump it up to 4 milliseconds. So I think it dimmed. It looked like it was dimming, so I think that was due to some cloud cover overhead. I also hope over the stream that let's see what it looks like on the stream. I want to make sure it's a little blocky. Let me see if I can adjust my settings to view it a little. Let me make sure it's. I want to make sure this is actually streaming at the appropriate resolution. It should be streaming to you at 1080p. It says it's outputting at 1080p.
Reach on.
Turn the volume up here. Sorry if you heard an ad there for a second. I'm just checking our stream and an ad is playing. 720p 60, 1080p 60. Okay, yeah, that looks fine. Still a little pixelated, not as good as I'd like it to be. And I don't know where those specs came from. I don't know if they're on the scope itself or if they're on the optics. Or at the camera optics. Oh, looks like we did hit our, let's double check this here. Our subscriber goal tonight. Just a tentative goal that we set. Yeah, 2,202 subscribers. Cool. We breached the 2,200 point. So thank you all for your support. We're happy to have you and build the community up here. Okay, so stream is working how I want to see it. I might. Oh, there's some clouds. Some more clouds coming over. Go back to the exposure here. Nothing's changing in exposure setting can't fix. I'll just have to keep watching that to make sure it doesn't overexpose or underexpose. Okay. Let me reload this. Yeah, it seems like the ZW is a mystery. Hello, Artemis. Welcome to the stream tonight. We had a little bit of trouble to start here, but we're finally on the moon, looking at the, I think it's the Proclus crater there, just above at the top image. Sort of tri-star crater. Proclus crater. Yeah, Proclus is the tri-star crater. So we're near Mare Crisium. Mare Crisium is just at the top of the image. Proclus crater is at the top center image. Wonder what the weather looks like coming up. I'm gonna go. I like to use It's actually something, again, our director uses as well, from what I understand, is Weather Underground. And it has a pretty nice layout of the upcoming weather. In addition to that clear sky chart, but if you want to look like 10 days ahead, clear sky chart won't show you that. Probably for good reason, because to be honest, it becomes a little bit unpredictable on that front, especially for astronomy, astronomy, that kind of whether there's good seeing, transparency, and so on. But just to give myself an idea of and prepare myself for the possibility of an upcoming stream, I like to look ahead. Why does this say no showers late? Is it supposed to be snow tonight? Oh, not significant. It doesn't look like. It looks like maybe at like 3 a.m. That seems iffy. I'm surprised it like lists that, like, you know, as snow showers being possible tonight. Maybe. Well, no, it's saying 45, almost a 50% chance of some precipitation tonight. Cloud cover goes spiking up though, starting kind of now, but I think over the next we're okay over the next hour or so. Yeah, we'll be fine over the next hour. So the weekend looks pretty clouded out, but I see a lot of sun for next week. So we can maybe tentatively plan for something over the next week. Maybe not even waiting till Friday or anything. Just if it's clear skies, I'll try and plan for maybe another stream like this, where we can focus on the moon and Mars, and some of the other brighter stuff that's out there. I think we could maybe get by with Pleiades, but there for sure, I need to get this camera working. Pleiades is a really large object in the sky, about the size of the moon, and we can't get the full moon in with this device. So with this WoW camera, I mean, so you need for wide field stuff, you need something like this large sensor camera. Let me go back into chat here. Oh, hi, Fran. Welcome to the stream. Yes, we love to show you the observatory sometime. So Artemis, the moon, depending on where you are in Canada, I don't know if you match up with our longitude. So I don't know if your time is the same right now. Like you might be further west Canada. I'm not sure. Right now it's 10:14 p.m. where we are. So if it's the same time, the moon will roughly be in the same spot in the sky. It'll be maybe, let's see, it would be a little bit, again, depending on latitude, it would be a little bit higher in the sky, right? No, maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, I think it'd be lower in the sky as you go up in latitude, but not by much. So if it's the same time, it should be roughly the same spot in the sky. Right now, if we use Stellarium here, we can zoom out, and I can show you where it is in our sky. Regardless of where you are, the moon will definitely be located in the constellation here, Leo, the lion. So if we turn the artwork on, we can see Leo there. So sort of on his belly, that's where the moon is located. So in between the star Regulus and, I don't know this one. This one might not have a name. Oh, nothing's showing up either. So I don't know what star that is. But right, it's next to Regulus there. So regardless of where you are, the moon will be in that constellation. But just for tonight. Tomorrow it'll move a little bit further towards the eastern sky. It'll keep doing that as we approach new moon. So after tonight, we're approaching new moon, and we are waning instead of waxing. So you'll start to see light move off and darkness appear on the right-hand side of the moon. So yes, right now we are in our area. Let's see. Artemis says it's 10:14 here also, I think is what you said. So yeah, it should be the same direction in the sky. So from our perspective here, it looks like it's in the southeast, although it's pretty high up. It's at I don't know, I'd say like 50 degrees or so in altitude in the sky. Because if we look straight up, that's 90 degrees up. And the moon looks like thereabouts halfway in between or so, just a little bit higher. So the moon is southeast, almost due southeast right now. So if you have a compass, you can use that to find it. Mars is setting in the western sky, so I do want to switch to Mars pretty soon here, because I don't want to miss out on red planets, especially since we're celebrating Perseverance. All right. Maybe I should go try and see it where it is in the sky now, and we can go over to Mars briefly and then return to the moon later. Okay. Well, right now the cloud cover is, of course, in the western sky. Mars is peeking through a little bit, but I'm going to wait for that region to become a little bit clearer. Here we go. And that hopefully that way we can get a nice stable view of Mars. It still has some height to it in the sky, at least where I was looking. I couldn't even see Orion. Orion was pretty well covered. So it's possible we might just be stuck with the moon tonight. So I say stuck with. That's kind of well, I guess when you're interested in other objects, the moon just does get in your way. So you start to feel that way. But I mean, it's just as awesome to look at the moon too, and take that opportunity while you have full illumination. Oh, did we lose it? We did lose it. Why did we lose it? Let me look at the Zwo camera and see what's going on here. Is it a matter of... Oh. It is. It's cloud coverage. I swore I just saw it outside. You can see how I upped the exposure. Let me up the gain too and see if that does anything to help. Yeah. See, it's there. It looks like it's there. Let me check the chat. Let me know if that's what you saw happen. Did you see it just fade away because of clouds? It looks like it's there. It's just cloudy. Yeah, we're getting corroborating reports here from Linda saying clouds in the west now and Owego almost hiding Mars. It's similar to what I'm seeing here. What else do we have? Armis says they're looking to get a telescope. Oh, very good. Very nice. There's a lot of good options on the market now. Although I guess it's kind of just because of our current situation and just shipping and manufacturing in general. Some stuff is hard to find, but I think it's mostly the advanced stuff. I think the more consumer telescopes are generally okay. I'm not positive, but what else do we have? How many miles is Mars from us? It's changing quite a bit lately because we've passed it now and we're moving away from it. So let me see. Mars distance, current distance. I know you could just as easily do this, but you got me curious. I'm gonna double check my facts here. Distance in kilometers is 216,653. Wait, sorry, 216,653,759. I just took a comma for a period, a decimal. And then distance in astronomical units, and that one probably makes the most sense for me because you think like 216 million kilometers. That I don't know what that looks like, but you can based on models of the solar system, you can almost put into perspective astronomical units, and one astronomical unit is the distance from the sun to the Earth, which is very often pretty constant. So it's like the average distance. Because our orbits are kind of weird. While they are elliptical, they're pretty circular, surprisingly. They're still elliptical. So at one point in the Earth's orbit, the Earth is further away or closer to the sun, which would mean elliptical. But it's more circular than we see with other planets in other solar systems. So usually that distance is relatively constant. So 1 AU is 1 Earth-Sun distance, and Mars is 1.4 AU away from us right now. So 1.4 Earth-Sun distances away. Brenda says, "What? No wonder it took so long for Percy to get there." Yeah, it did take 6 months, right? It was July, just over 6 months. It was July 30th that it launched, and February 18th that it landed. So just over 6 months to get there. Yeah, it sounds like they must have rolled in really quick. I'm going to go check the moon again just to make sure that's in fact the case. Well, let's bump the gain up. Oh yeah, there's nothing there right now. And I apologize that we didn't get the stream up and running until later. Hopefully next week skies are looking better and we can have a proper stream. I'll have to get this camera working again and not put it on any other computer because I think that's what happened. It's gonna from now on it strictly stays on this computer. And then hopefully we won't run into a driver issue again where for whatever reason it's just like I recognize this camera. What else do we have? Yeah, some conversations about telescopes. Very good. I apologize if I butcher your username. Themarcian? Cianitos? 3 says, I can't see the moon. It's raining in Maryland. Yes, and unfortunately, it's been just the northeast, and I guess Maryland isn't quite northeast. It's more mid U.S. But yeah, it's just been bad weather. We've had so much precipitation. I don't know about most of you, but I'm kind of tired of the snow. It's nice. I really do like the look of snow. But the amount of snow has become a little exhausting at times. uh, Themarcianitos also says, what do you think about Perseverance rover landing? So we just had a stream. I don't know if you're new to the channel. I don't necessarily recognize the name, but you might just be in the chat for the first time, so welcome. We just had a stream before this one that went a little bit over, but we had a good conversation about the Perseverance rover. And in short, I will say it was incredibly exciting. And the footage we got back on Monday, which we reacted to in the stream tonight, was astounding. Like, unbelievable what they were able to accomplish with that rover. And I can't wait to see what it continues to do, both with the Ingenuity helicopter and its just general mission to seek out evidence of life on Mars. David is saying it's looking cloudy for the rest of the night. And I was hoping we were okay, but Weather Underground was saying we were okay for maybe the last hour there, but for the next hour. But I guess it clouded up faster than we wanted it to. Well, we can say we tried. We can certainly say that. Yes, the Stacy's mentioning this weather. This winter has been crazy. It's just been so snowy, so cloudy. We've had clear nights here and there, but they're just like tonight. We've found they're just not reliable. Like things can change on a moment's notice, and usually we're just stuck with overcast. The sun this week, I guess yesterday, was really nice. Or maybe the day before. Either way, we've had some sun, and it looks like some sun is coming next week too. I've said before that I want to do a solar stream. I'll check and see if there's any solar activity occurring. We should. What is solar maximum? Solar maximum should be 2024. Is that right? Next solar maximum. Oh, July 2025. Okay. Because the last one was okay. I thought it was April. I thought it was 2013 we reached solar maximum, but it's 20. It was 2014 that we reached solar maximum. So it is 2025. The solar cycle occurs every 11 years, so you'll get a solar maximum every 11 years. And I do want to do a solar stream if there's some decent sunspots on the sun we can get some good footage there. Or maybe I have to look into this and talk to the KS about it, and see if we can get, if we have the right filter to get some hydrogen alpha uh, imaging of the planet. Because right now we just have a visible light filter that will strictly show us the surface of the sun and sunspots. But we'd like to get some prominences and some, not necessarily solar flares, but they're these solar prominences, these little edge flares that occur on the sun, and we might be able to check those out. So we'll see what we can do about solar observing. It's just occurring to me though that the eclipse, the 2024 eclipse that's happening in the northeast here, is very close to solar maximum. So we'll be able to get possibly some decent sunspots on the surface during that eclipse. So that's pretty cool. That's looking into the future. But at this point we're just chatting because the skies are cloudy. Oh, that's very nice, Fran. It sounds lovely. Gotta say, some nice 83-degree weather. Sounds lovely. We had one warm day this week. I think Wednesday was almost got into high 40s. I can't remember exactly what the high temperature was, but it was nice. It's amazing how warm that feels when you've just been stuck in 20-degree weather for so long, 20 to 30. Drew, our director, says we will have a future live stream by a local who now works on the Mastcam Z for Percy. I am actually I don't know if you were tuning in before, Drew, uh, but I actually was asking the question. People in the chat that were here can attest to it. That if I have the opportunity to ask someone from NASA a question about that system, it would have been like if it was capable of recording potentially some video for the Ingenuity, and if they have plans to do so. I don't know if that would be something they would be informed about, but we thought earlier that it is capable of recording some video footage, that map can be. Um, so that'd be pretty cool if we could get some video of that helicopter. We are technically still on the moon. It's just a very cloudy moon. From what we saw, I'm going to go check on the telescope in just a minute just to make sure that is the case and it didn't just like move off somewhere that it shouldn't have. But yeah, upping the gain just doesn't show up anything before it was. So I don't know if we're just completely clouded over or what's going on that front. I will check in just a moment, Artemis. What else do we have here? Drew also says there's a decent spot on the sun, but it is about to move off the disk face. Okay, so maybe no sunspot. We'll see what comes around on the other side, maybe. Unless, well, I guess we might know what's on the other side. I don't know what is that. Oh no, what is that? The twin observatories. There's two satellites out there that watch the sun, and there's also the Parker Solar Probe, which I don't know if you all saw. That brilliant image it took of Venus when it did a flyby, which apparently NASA wasn't even aware they could realistically do and get detail on the surface. But there was an awesome image of Venus. I wonder if I can bring it up again while we're just clouded out here. And I don't want to depart quite yet, because it still seems like we're having a good convo in the chat there. Parker Solar Probe. Parker Solar Probe is studying the atmosphere of the sun. For those who have not heard of it, it's a NASA mission. Let's see. What can I do here? I want to add a window capture. I'm just going to overlay this on the Zwo camera until and if we are able to get the feedback. We'll see what happens. So it's going to be, it's not a pretty display of a web browser, but we're going to roll with it because that's just what we have time for. So the Parker Solar Probe took a picture of Venus, and I got to remember what the surface feature is called. Aphrodite Terra. Aphrodite Terra is this dark, cooler region on Venus, and they weren't even aware that this visible light camera system that was on board the spacecraft that was designed for visualizing the sun, they weren't even aware it was capable of taking in infrared data like this, thermal data, because you can't see features like this on Venus without a infrared camera. Venus is just has just too thick of an atmosphere. In fact, you can see it right here. It's got an extremely thick atmosphere that prevents us from seeing the surface of it. So when we go and observe Venus, even though the surface would look stunning if we could peer through those clouds somehow, to us, invisible light, it's just a sort of tannish or bright white ball or gibbous phase or crescent. Usually the phases are the most exciting thing to see of Venus in visual telescopes because otherwise it's just very uniform. You can't even really make out distinct clouds or anything. Just constant cloud coverage. So at least we're not there. At least we have some hope in Binghamton. But brilliant image. These must be stars in the background. They look like stars to me. The one thing I'm not sure of, and I don't know if it explains it here. Bright streaks in Whisper, which is the instrument that they use to take this picture, typically caused by a combination of charged particles called cosmic rays, sunlight reflected by grains of space dust, and particles of material expelled from spacecraft structures after impact with those dust grains. So these are either, cosmic particles, charged particles from cosmic rays, rather, or dust particles, or interactions with the spacecraft. It could be a number of things, but it's just interfering with the sensor there. So that stuff nearby, it's sort of in the foreground. Those are definitely stars in the background, which is pretty cool to see. It's an amazing image, and it shows you down here. Yep, you got the night glow there, and you got Aphrodite Terra, the big structure there. We do have thermal image data of Venus, so that's how we know what the surface looks like. But now they might be able to do a bit more, both with the sun and with flybys of Venus in the future. So that's pretty neat. Really cool image there. What I miss? Oh, wow. I missed a lot. That's a good point, David. It is true. I imagine Seattle is similar, where you just appreciate the night sky that much more when you get it. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. If anyone can remind me, there's a story about Venus, since we're on that topic, and it's sort of nice combination of the two, what David said and what I was talking about. There's a story about Venus, a short story, I think. And it's sort of sci-fi, as if people were living on Venus. And I remember that it's something I read in school a while ago. So again, maybe someone knows, but you'd only get the sun once every lifetime or decade or something like that. You'd only get to see the sun for a brief time and get to see nice skies, and then it would just cloud up again. It was a beautiful story. I remember liking it a lot. And in that sense, people appreciated it that much more. People actually in fact, I think there's a bit of tragedy in the story where one person isn't able to actually get the chance to see it. And they missed out on that opportunity. So a similar thing where you just appreciate it that much more is a very good point. I'm really behind in chat. I'm sorry. Let me move the web browser out of view, and we'll check again to see if anything's peeking through. No. Let me go take a quick look outside. I will return to the chat in a moment. All right. I think you all might have to take another visit with me into the 6-inch dome here so we can get the moon back, because it's actually still out. I'm just not sure why it's not showing. Get that back in a second. And I got to unplug temporarily. Should have enough battery to get there and back. So let's go back into the 6-inch dome here, and we will adjust our view. I think I see a couple problems. The moon is so high in the sky. I need to make some adjustments on the scope itself. Pardon the shaky camera here. Look at Tycho if we can. We'll do some focusing. That's Tycho, right? I think so. There's Proclus. Yeah, we'll focus on Tycho for a bit. Let me get some Mare, some of those darker regions of the moon in there. But otherwise, we'll stay on Tycho. And I'll head back in. Let me adjust the exposure while I'm here and just make sure that looks good. There we go. Now, you're not going to get some nice crisp craters on during a full moon, simply because there's no shadows to work with. Did I tangle up here? 1 second. I got a really long cord. It's hooked up to the camera so I can go into the radio room. I think I might be a little bit tangled up. We don't want that because that'll affect the telescope. Just from walking back and forth, I think that's what caused it. Let me see if that fixed it. Oops. When it gets a little warmer and I can stay the dome for longer, I'm going to try and get the wireless figured out on the 14-inch. So, wow, we're really all over the place here. The physics of an extremely long cord. That's what's going on here. It's like when you put your headphones in your pocket. Just the length of the cord alone and the movement of being in your pocket is enough for it to tangle. It's just all probability. Okay, let's plug this back in. And we'll focus on Crater Tycho for a little bit. I think Mars is lost to us. The only reason the moon is working is because the clouds aren't thick. But Mars is just not going to show much detail with these thick clouds. Sit down for a bit here. So yeah, the idea with the now really is something that would only help us once it gets cold again, potentially. But either way, it is kind of nicer to stream in the radio room here, where I am now, compared to being in the dome. It's a little bit safer for the computers. They're not mounted in weird places and so on. So either way, I think I would prefer to stream in here to begin with. And we can hopefully hook up the telescope to a wireless adapter and control the scope from in here. Can't do that with the 6-inch because the motors just aren't hooked up in that way for the motors on the telescope. So we'll focus on the moon for a little while longer, and then we will probably call it a night. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm going to move things over here so I can reorganize my stream. As soon as I unplug the secondary monitor that we have, I have to fix things around a little bit. So there we go. Again, if you are new to the stream tonight, please hit the like button and the subscribe button if you want to tune into future observing streams. We'd love to have you join our community and share in what's to come. You never know what's going to happen in the sky. We first got inspired to do these in the summertime, partially to keep sharing the sky with you, but also with things like Neowise. We wanted to share those big astronomical events with our regular viewers and regular people. I can't think of a good name, like, visitors. There we go. I couldn't think of a name for some reason. People, random people, right? Our visitors who would usually come up here for in-person observing. I was just not in the cards, and hopefully it will be again in the future, but in the near future, I should say. It'll definitely be in the cards in the future, but in the near future, that's the question. Brenda asks, how long is Percy going to be on Mars? Theoretically, forever. I say that in the sense of there is no plans to ever retrieve Percy. nor is there plans to ever retrieve Curiosity or any of the previous rovers that came before. It's just not super practical to do that. So when we send those rovers, they're often there to stay. Now, that's not to say, in the far future, if humans master space travel and they can go anywhere and do anything, maybe out of sentimental interest in, I'm sure museums or things would still be around. You go get the rover that was on Mars and bring it back home. That's a Star Trek-y possibility. But as far as in the cards right now, there's no plan to go fetch Perseverance. With that said, maybe the basis of your question is how long is it going to survive on Mars? And that's a little bit more difficult to answer because you never know what's going to go wrong. One of the main limiting factors you can take away is, of course, the battery system. And the battery is a nuclear-powered battery. It's powered by plutonium. And that does have a finite lifespan. Like, you will eventually have to turn off equipment to keep running other equipment, the more prioritized ones. And eventually you won't have enough power to power the drivetrain, and you won't be able to move around. But that's a long ways away. Curiosity has been active for nearly a decade. It'll be 9 years this summer. And it has the same power source as Perseverance. So we're looking at a decade at least, potentially, for Perseverance of activity on Mars, if not more. Fran, that's a good question as well. Since I'm so new to this, are you ever able to capture the space station, or does it move too fast? That is something we are interested in doing. That's a really good question, and it's going to take some effort to get that to work, and we have to make sure we have the right tracking system to do it. At the very least, we're interested in looking at the International Space Station as it transits objects. I try to stay up to date on that. It only happens at certain places at certain times on the Earth, but when it transits the moon or the sun, you can get some really brilliant shots from that. And you can actually see detail of the ISS because it's low enough that it's not just like a speck. It actually, you can see the solar panels and you can see the different modules. So it's something I want to explore for sure. But tracking it is another thing. Tracking is more difficult. We might be able to live stream the ISS at some point, just watching it trace across the sky. The camera should have no problem doing that, this mirrorless camera I have. But tracking, again, is a little bit trickier. Yeah, Linda, the image that we looked at of Venus earlier was, in fact, actually Venus. It was, of course, like just half of Venus, but it was, I think it was even the night side of Venus, which is pretty cool. Yes, David makes the point. You can see the ISS with the naked eye. A lot of you are actually answering the question I just answered. So you already took care of it. So I should have really looked ahead. But yes, that's the idea. The ISS is a great one to go observe yourself, though. Just, thinking of the humans that are on board and, symbolically wave to them. That's what I always say. They can't see it, but it's still pretty cool you're waving to astronauts. Oh, yeah, it was Ray Bradbury. And I think it rains all the time. Yes. That was the thing, I remember that in the book. Or short story. I can't even remember which one it was. It was so long ago, but it always stuck. Like, I think the important thing, I wish I did remember, but the story stuck with me, and it resonated with me at the time, which I think it was a good selection at school for sure. Yes, Drew says I should mention how to find the ISS. So we can take a brief moment here to go explore that. Go to heavensabove.com. Let me bring this up here. You can go to heavensabove.com. That should be showing on your screen now. Heavens-above.com is the actual website. And this is where you can track the ISS and figure out if it's going to fly over in your area. So let's see, I want to make sure I'm in the right location here. So you do have to adjust your location, especially if it doesn't pick up on your GPS. Yeah, that's fine. We'll allow that there. And yep, pinpointed roughly where Copernic is. And we're going to update that. So we're at 42 degrees latitude here. And it's going to be able to tell us not just where the ISS is, but where other satellites are. You have Starlink passes too. Starlink is the internet satellites put out by SpaceX. Hubble Space Telescope as well. But we're going to go ahead and look at the ISS. And looks like there was some decent flyovers. Oh no, it's in the morning. So if you stay up tonight, or if you wake up really early, you can get some decent passes. Pretty bright ones. March 7th is going to be a -2, and you can keep going. Like you can check to see, things are going to show up at more convenient times. Looks like the 16th of March at about 8:30, 8:35, we get a 10-degree pass. Not super high. You can have as high as, here's 37 degree, 58 degree. Those are higher passes. But that's a more convenient time, of course. It's not 5 in the morning. What else do we have here? Those are all 10 degree. Oh, well, that's the starting. I'm sorry. I should have looked at the highest point. My bad. So if we go back here in the 16th of March, it gets to 19 degrees, which still isn't amazing, but it's not terrible. And it's still pretty bright. But if we go to the next wave, we have at 8 o'clock, you're looking at 69 degrees at the highest point. That's really good. That's a nice high pass. And that's -4 magnitude. And when you have a higher, a more negative number, I'll say. So if you have something -4 versus -2, -4 means it's brighter. It's a little bit counterintuitive, but that's how astronomical magnitude works. So higher negative numbers, like -4, is brighter than -0.2. So this is a great tool to use to find the ISS in your area. So go to heavensabove.com. It also, you can find ISS passes in Stellarium, in similar applications like that for looking at the sky. Like Star Walk is another good one on iPhone. I think it's also on Android. So you can check those out too to look for ISS passes. But Heavens Above is guaranteed. Like, we've had no problem with the reporting of the ISS passes on there. Go check that out. All right, let me switch. I realize we're getting sort of a mirror view now, so let me switch this out and go back to just the moon. If we need to bring up the browser again, we can do that. Go back just to the zoomed in view of the moon. Again, for those just joining us, we had an issue with our wide field camera tonight. So we can't get the full view of the moon. We're just getting really zoomed in features of the moon, which is cool to see too. But hopefully next time, it looks like the weather might be looking nicer next week. Keep our fingers crossed. So hopefully next time we can get some more wide field once I reinstall the drivers. Okay. People are mentioning some good applications on their phones to try too, like Skywatch app or free ISS tracker app. Those work. They're saying those work well on your phone too. So yeah, I recommend checking those out as well. Some strange noise. I'm not sure what that is. I don't think you can hear it, but sure thing, Artemis. Happy to give you a good resource to use there. Well, there is I saw some weird shadow. I'm like, what's in here with me? This is just a little bug. They're enjoying the warmth too, although I don't know where they came from because we're in a separate building in the observatory here, so I don't exactly know how it's alive right now. Life is certainly resilient. Let me know if there's any final questions for the stream tonight. We are heading past 11 o'clock and uh, thinking about winding down soon. But if you have any final questions, I'm happy to answer them. Again, my thoughts for the future streams, I'm hoping to get something going. Down a bit. Hoping to get something going here in the next week again, since this one didn't go perfectly. So I'm hoping we can try this again, both with the moon and Mars. And the moon will be even well. Actually, the moon might be tricky because it'll rise later. But depending on what day of the week we do it, it might still be at a comfortable enough time for everyone. So the moon's going to keep rising and moving eastward. It's rising later and later in the night as we head towards a new moon now. Mars will still be roughly the same time. It's not going to change too much over the next week. Depending on what day we do it, we might be able to get some deep sky objects like Orion's, Pleiades, the open star cluster. Hopefully those opportunities will open for us. We could maybe just start a stream even earlier in the evening when it's still dark. You take advantage of the winter skies here. The few winter skies we have remaining and get some good views of some deep sky stuff while the moon's away. The ghost of Kylo shares with you. All right. Sounds good to me. Yes, Nicholas might be referring to our Kylo Halloween stream. So during Halloween, we had Kylo Ren from Star Wars up here instead of me. So you can go back and check out that Halloween stream. It wasn't perfect. There was some issues with the that was with my MacBook outside, so I think there was some bandwidth issues or just processor limits I was reaching to stream out that footage. So it wasn't perfect. It could have been better, but maybe we'll try it again. Halloween will be here before we know it. Or I could just casually show up as Kylo Ren. That'd be fine too, right? Well, you're hearing background noises. That's good to know. If background noises are coming through, because there's a lot of fans in this room. I'm actually using some software to minimize that as best I can, but it's not foolproof. Let me try lowering the mic volume a bit and see if that gets rid of some of it. So that should have made my volume a little better. Yeah, it still stabilizes where there's still some background noise. Maybe it's aliens, I don't know. Samar Cianidos is saying, "Can you zoom into Mars?" I wish I could. Unfortunately, even though the title of the stream is maybe misleading at this point, um, the skies are kind of clouded right now. Which for the moon it works fine because the moon's so bright, it's peering through these thin clouds we have, these thin wispy clouds. But for Mars, Mars is bright, but it's also difficult to make out detail on the surface in the clearest of weather, the clearest of skies, and the best being. So we're limited on what we can do with Mars right now, and I can't even see it in the sky to pinpoint it. And unfortunately, we're moving towards its setting point. So there's a lot of things against us right now. I get what I'm trying to get across with Mars, but we have plenty of time to go try it again in the future. So I think we will do our best to do that. Over the next week, even we might try and do one. Brenda asked, "Do all the planets in our solar system have moons?" I guess Aaron answered that question. Aaron said, "No, not Mercury nor Venus. Yes, those are the two worlds that do not have moons in our solar system. Every other planet does. Uh, Even some of the dwarf planets have moons. So Pluto, a dwarf planet, has 5 moons. In fact, one of the moons is almost half the size of it. Charon is almost half the size of Pluto. So it's fascinating it's almost a matter of circumstance whether you have a moon or not. The Earth has its one moon, but it could have had more if things were different. It all depends on how the solar system settles out, or a given solar system settles out. Well, Kelly, I'm glad you could connect back with us too, and that we're able to continue to offer observing live streams like this. Um, Times are tough and weird right now, and it's just a nice way to keep our community connected, as well as meet new people. We have a lot of people from across the world. I think someone was from Germany tonight. I'm imagining he has gone to bed at this point, just because I think he said it was like 1 a.m. when we first started the stream. So if he wanted to get any sleep, I'm sure he went to bed. Actually, I guess that was for Perseverance earlier. He was on that stream. But yeah, we have people from all over, and it's great to open up our community and keep observing. Our slogan is "Look up and dream big," so we want to keep that going. Robert says Deep Sky and the Witch Head Nebula in Orion. I will certainly check that one out. We can maybe do when we do a Deep Sky stream again. We'll just go all over. I know we focused on just Orion, but that was just it's a popular winter constellation, or not constellation, popular winter sky object. So I wanted to do a whole stream on that alone. But next time we will certainly jump around and see what we can take pictures of. Oh, GF Beer is appreciating the moon observings. Well, I'm sorry we couldn't get a full encompassing moon tonight because of the camera issue, but I'm glad you are enjoying the stream. These are the kind of nights that are, I guess, nice to ramble on and just chat with each other. Oops. Well, thank you all for the nice comments. I really appreciate it. It's nice for us to know that you support and enjoy these live streams, and it's keeps pushing us to keep them going. I know it's been a while since our last observing stream. Hopefully, I don't know, these somewhat clear skies are a sign of clearer skies to come, so we can run more. So our director, Drew Desker, is saying next Friday our live stream will be a talk about the Artemis program, the return to the moon, so NASA's return to the moon. And it will be presented by a team member from NASA's Johnson Space Flight Center. So please check that out next week. It'll be, I think, at 7 p.m. Let me know if I'm wrong, Drew. I think that is... We've been running our streams at 7 p.m. here. So please feel free to go to Copernic.org to learn more about that program. And that'll be next week's presentation stream. Much like Perseverance, the rover watch tonight was a presentation stream at 7 p.m. I'm checking the website now to confirm that. 7 p.m., yes. So March 5th at 7 p.m., come tune in with us to learn from Patricia Moore from NASA Johnson Space Flight Center. You can learn more about our return to the moon and getting humans back to the moon, and as a transition point for getting humans to Mars. There's a lot of great astronauts that are already a part of that program. Perhaps we'll learn more that day. Oh, thanks, Brenda. Glad you enjoyed it. It's good. It's good to know there's at least some value too in these streams, even when things don't always go to plan, and we also start an hour later than we were intending to. In part, that was just because our Perseverance stream went on for a bit too long, but that's okay. We had a lot of good questions, and I had a lot to talk about. So, and it was exciting time this week, and that was the best astrophotography we've seen in a while. I think that was one of our Astronomical Society members coined that it was the best. The image that was released by Perseverance on Friday was one of the best astrophotos in a long time. And there's a lot of good stuff out there, so that's saying something. All right, well, I think we will wrap up the night. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, please share it and let people know that we're doing these observing streams, because it's a great way to connect about space and connect as during these times, connect together and join a community of people that are just interested in science and in STEM technology and so on. So we'd love to have more people join our friendly community. If you are new to the channel tonight, we are going to have future observing streams. Tonight didn't go perfectly, but we'll improve with this new streaming setup we have, and we'll get to observe other planets, observe deep sky objects like nebula and galaxies. There's a lot to come still. You never know what's going to show up in the sky. Just like last year we had Comet Neowise, so who knows what's going to come by. Hit the like button to support the channel, and subscribe for our future content. You can always go back to any of our backlog observing sessions. We keep those saved on our channel. So if you want to see what the Halloween stream was like, feel free to go check it out. If you want to go see Neowise or the Percy and Meteor Shower, those are all there and for you. So feel free to go back and look at those, or even tonight's Perseverance stream. That should be saved to the channel as well. Okay, well, with that said, I'm going to close out the program for tonight. Thank you again for joining us for mostly just a moon stream and talking about Mars. All right, have a good night, everyone. Bye, guys.